301-869-452 and 1-866-6775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We make the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only focused show. Well, I tell that to everybody. Just it sounds good, though. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. It has been a while. Michael Cox is with us today. Falling Bright Wine Merchants, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ron. I'm happy to be here.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And we celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. There's always something to celebrate. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring my wine glass in to celebrate today. But we'll talk about wine today. And we're going to give you a very behind-the-scenes experience. I share with all of our guests. My objective on our radio broadcast all the time is to deliver an experience to you where you're just eavesdropping on a couple of friends chatting. And we get the opportunity, and it's kind of interesting because I've looked at this week, and as I'm broadcasting right now, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this because it does hit ronsiegelradio.com in the radio archives, and there's a lot of different stations that carry our broadcasts now. But this week, all week, we have done about as little preparation for a radio show as anybody can possibly do. Right, and yes, I do my opening monologue every day, and I can tell you exactly what the markets are doing and where they're going and all those good things. But one of the fun things that we do on the broadcast is we have the opportunity of delivering an experience where you're just eavesdropping on a couple of friends having coffee. Now, generally, well, I didn't even bring a drink in here today, but generally we have a cup of coffee or if in the olden days, 6 months ago, the idea was you're just eavesdropping on a couple of friends at Starbucks. You can't sit at Starbucks anymore, so I don't know. We'll have to change that. Outdoor dining only, I guess, is what the requirement is now. But that's what we're going to do today is you're going to get the opportunity of just sitting and listening to Michael and I chat about wine. He is the guru. I am the consumer. And I think there's a lot more consumers like me, I think, than gurus like Michael. He understands what he's talking about. I understand three things when it comes to wine, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because I think that you're going to be as much an expert by the end of this broadcast as I am. You will master all three things that I understand about wine by the end of this broadcast. I guarantee it, so don't go away. But as I look at the markets now, the Dow Jones up 246 points, S&P 500 up 47. The NASDAQ is soaring. That's up 235 points right now. When you look at the NASDAQ being up 235 points, that's almost 2.2%. The Dow is up almost 0.9%. The S&P 1.5%. So the NASDAQ is where it's at today. I think Elon Musk probably stole the show once again. What did he do? It's called in the industry, it's called a short squeeze. Those people that have been thinking that Tesla is way overpriced, and it probably is, What does Musk go out there and do? He says, well, we're going to go on a 5-for-1 stock split. Now, we heard last week Apple came out and said they were going to do a 4-for-1 stock split. What does that do? What does that mean? Well, the only value in a multi-stock split, a 4-for-1, or in Tesla's case, a 5-for-1, is it takes a stock that's right today, as I'm speaking to you, up 127 points, trading at $1,500 a share. Now, think about this. How many shares can you buy at $1,500 a share? Not a whole lot for the average person. So it takes the average investor out of the game. How many shares of Apple stock can you buy at $451 a share? Well, probably can do more than Tesla, but it still takes a lot of average investors out of the game because the stock price is so high. Now, when you take $1 and you go, or let's say if you go to a bank, if they were opened, but if you went to the bank and you brought in a $100 bill and you said, I want to do a 5-for-1 at the bank, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to give you 5 $20 bills for that $100 bill. The exact same thing when you're looking at a stock split. So when Tesla splits 5-for-1, all they're doing is they're saying, okay, that $1,500 stock, we're going to give you 5 shares, but we're going to call it a $300 stock now. Or Apple, when they're at 150, the math is a little harder here, but 4-for-1 at a $450 stock, $112.50 per share. The math is still the same, but there is one big difference. It's the ability of people to purchase. So the company really didn't do anything to change. They didn't make anything different in the valuation of the company, but supply and demand sets in. There's more demand for a $125 stock because the average person can now invest in it than there is for a $450 stock. There's more demand for that $300 stock. So when Musk came out this morning, early or late yesterday, I don't know when it was, came out and said we're going to do a 5-for-1 stock split. Now the stock's up $127 right now. Didn't change the value of the company, but those people that said this company is way overpriced and now you bring in a whole bunch more demand for the stock because people can afford it, these shorts on this get squeezed out. And that's probably why we're seeing what we're seeing. The other issue that's driving the market right now is the news of the yesterday. I don't know if that's even a word, the news of the yesterday. But the news of the day yesterday was the announcement of Joe Biden's pick. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I think Joe found out about it at the same time we did from the press release. Right? Kamala Harris as the running mate for Joe Biden. She'll probably tell him what to do, when to do it, where to do it. It's going to be fascinating because Kamala Harris will go out there and do some campaigning while Joe's sitting in the basement. But that's just a different story. But I don't know. I didn't remember the latest times. Usually they make a big deal out of a pick for vice president. And this came out as a press release. I wonder what Joe would do if there was a problem in the world. Right? I wonder if he'd do a press release or he'd be stuck in his basement. I'm just curious about that one. I'm sure I'll get some hate mail on that, but that's just the way it goes. But Kamala Harris probably was the most conservative of the options. And if Kamala Harris is the most conservative, you know where the other options were, right? Pocahontas could have been out there doing it. And we do know one thing about Kamala Harris. Pocahontas was the first non-Indian Indian to become a professor at Harvard. We've got the first Indian to become a black candidate for president. I don't know how that works, but Kamala Harris, part Indian from India, not Native American, but part Indian and part Jamaican, but they want to call her an African American. I wonder why. I bet I can leave that to your imagination as well. But that was seen as a moderate pick compared to Pocahontas or compared to Susan Rice. I mean, we know we'll never get the truth out of Susan Rice. You know that we've seen that one for a long time. Can you say Benghazi?
Nothing like a little ass superiority.
Yeah, so she really has her own way of doing things. So you look at these: Susan Rice, Pocahontas, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris all might be, out of a group of insane people, might be the most sane of them. But we move right along. Let's see what else is going on in the news. Chicago, it's another one of those days in Chicago. More people getting killed. Now you start seeing the news playing the crooks. Now, it used to be that you saw the police catching the crooks and them going to jail. Now the news makes the crooks seem like they're the ones that should be getting the accolades. So we get people killed out there, and then you saw in the news last night where you got the crooks going in and breaking into businesses, $60 million worth of damage done. It just baffles me. I think it was the night before last. But $60 million, then you get the interview. Who's the interview? It's not from the police department. It's from one of the crooks saying, you know something, if you can't get clothes and you can't get food, I have no problem with you going in and stealing somebody else's. Really? That's the whole idea? But that's what the news is covering nowadays. Look at what went on in Seattle. I've got to give so much credit to the police chief in Seattle. And yes, I know that she's a liberal, very, very liberal lady. But to stand up and say, you know something, what you're doing or asking me to do is not acceptable. City Council decides they want to get rid of 100 police officers, cut her budget. They brought her in a year ago to do just the opposite, to build up the police department and to make it a little bit more diverse. Carmen Best. So what does she say? I can't deal with this. I'm out. I give people credit like that, right? I mean, she's standing up for her convictions, and I am sure that she'll end up getting a great job somewhere else because she's standing up for her convictions. She may even end up being, well, I don't know if she's qualified for, but you know, she may get a job in the Department of Justice, probably be a lot better than James Comey. But I digress. So we're going to continue our conversation. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, it's time for wine. Not this time of day, but we'll talk about it. Why foreclosures won't crush the housing market. Our featured home of the week is being brought to you by Melinda Johnson today. So we've got one of her properties. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you, but the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or you can visit mysocallender.com. Let's take a look at what's going on in the mortgage market right now. We start off with the S&P 500 up 48, Dow up 263, NASDAQ up 233 points as we record this broadcast. First thing in the morning, the mortgage-backed securities, though, they're down 11 basis points whenever the bonds are down 11 or down anything. That'll almost always mean rates are up, except for the day of the bond rollover. That's a technical term. And being that the bond rollover was 25 basis points, we're down 11. That means we've got a net positive. So the bond is up about 14 basis points after a very, very ugly day yesterday that we were expecting. Why is all this happening? Google.com does not have that information for you. You can get all the other numbers from Google if you want to spend the time looking for it. But what we're watching here right now is a very, very hot mortgage market, a hot real estate market. Again, stocks higher, looking to set all-time highs while mortgage bonds are continuing to move lower. Earlier this morning, the Mortgage Bankers Association released their mortgage application data for last week, showing that overall application volume rose by 6.8% from the previous week. Purchases were up 2% on a year-over-year basis, are 22% higher. Refinances increased 9% last week. Interest rates decreased from 3.14 to 3.06, which is almost a full percentage point lower than last year. Great information there. Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation on the consumer level, came in at 0.6% in the month of July. The year-over-year reading increased from 0.6 to 1%. Gasoline rose 2.5% last month, which was a big reason for the gain in headline, but are still down 11% year over year. Core reading, which strips out food and energy, increased by 0.6% month over month. And we've got a big bond auction today, which is going to tell us a lot about the future of where these rates are going. And I will tell you that what I'm really seeing here, looking at the charts, is what we call consolidation. The bonds are consolidating right there. They've been going up, up, up. They can't go straight up, so they consolidate, come back down a little bit, test some levels of support, and then they see if we're going to go back up again. We'll find that out a little bit more later today. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. MySoCalLender.com or call the team at 800-306-1990. One of my favorite passions in the world, I love to drink wine. And I found that I like drinking better wines now. I've got the Tickle Pink is not really there anymore. The boxed wines, I do have a couple of friends that, if you're going to put ice in wine, you're going to get a boxed wine at my house if I find one or something along those lines. I might give you a colored water so you think it's wine. I don't know. But I love sitting and chatting. And before the broadcast, I had the good fortune of chatting with Michael Cox, Falling Bright Wine Merchants. I'm going to put his information right there to scroll along on the bottom of the screen so you can get in touch with Michael and his team. But we get to chat about wines and what we like, what we don't like. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us because I think you might be more passionate about wine than I am.
I'm happy that we share the same passion.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, and we were talking before the broadcast, and I want to get back into this a little bit. We were chatting a little bit about wine vacations and wine visitations.
Sure.
Right. And I know it's not going to be the popular thing, and some of those folks that have their nose up in the air are not going to agree with me. But my wife and I have taken a couple of trips up to Napa. Beautiful, love it up there. It's a little more snooty fluty, right? We have taken many, many more trips. We try to go at least 2 or 3, 4 times a year, not in the summer when it's hotter than heck, to Paso Robles.
Love Paso, one of my favorite areas.
Is it?
In fact, yes. Yeah.
So it is my perception. I mean, Paso seems like they say it's the little sister of Napa, but it's bigger in acreage.
It is.
Last I heard, it was 600,000 acres in Paso to 200,000 in Napa. Is that about right?
I'm not sure on the exact acreage of what's planted, but as far as its size, yes, it is bigger than Napa.
And is my perception, do you have the same perception that it's a little bit more relaxed?
I completely agree with you. I fell in love with Paso when I was getting started in the wine world. I took my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, up there. We fell in love with the area so much, we decided to get married at one of the wineries. And
nice.
Truthfully, it is one of our favorite pieces of wine country. Though I'm a big fan of Sonoma and Napa, just for me personally, like you said, the element of friendliness, the hippies just growing great grapes. It's a wonderful area to visit.
I've learned a lot up there as far as, I never knew what a bricks meter was before.
Sure.
Right. Those are things that those of us that don't understand wine, we just know those 3 elements that I'm going to teach everybody in the next segment, maybe the last one, that are my most important issues of wine. But the idea there is, you can go out there and just talk to somebody that's got a real passion for wine.
Yes.
Right. And we've gone there and we've talked to the winemakers over at Tablas Creek. We've talked to a few others that you've sent us to. Mm-hmm. And you get to really learn what, where they'll walk you out into the vineyard and pull some grapes off and tell you what you're looking at.
Sure.
Right. I mean, the fun of going up there.
Yeah, the beauty of Paso for me is there are so many truly family-owned wineries out there where literally everybody in the family shares some sort of responsibility in the winemaking process or the marketing or the upkeep of the winery itself. And for me, that's when you truly find great product, because they have not just a passion, but a portion of ownership, and it's their livelihood.
Yeah, they're not only just making money at it. If something goes south, it's them.
Exactly.
And it's one of the reasons that I love having you come on here also, because part of that has to do with our desire to promote the small business owner.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what that is even though, it might be a 10 or 28 or 50 acre parcel. Right. It was, it's somebody's life, right? It's their blood, their sweat, their tears, the stories behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These small production wineries, literally, making artisanally handcrafted wines. Typically speaking, you're going to find higher quality at a better price point. And like you said, when it's someone that you've actually met, you've actually walked out into their vineyard, there's a real sense of passion that you share with them when you're enjoying their wine.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because they're watching your face while you drink their passion.
Sure, exactly.
Right,
that's their art form.
Yeah, I was with a local winemaker, and I'm not a big fan of Temecula wines for the most part, but we did have fun one time with a local winemaker, and he said, "Yeah, we have these spittoons on the pour buckets on there when you're doing tastings." And he said, if you don't like something, just pour it there and don't mind us because I'm crying as a winemaker. Sure. Right? Because you're pouring out, when you're pouring something out, they're thinking, well, it's because you don't like it.
That's right. Yeah, sure. I can see the point, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
So the winemaker's crying because you just poured out his passion.
I worked so hard on that. What are you doing dumping it in the trash? Come on, I poured you a glass. Drink it.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk a little bit about that, because you can't, when you go out tasting wine. Mm-hmm. Now we try when we go, and I don't know, you're more of an expert at it than I am. I'm just the novice guy that goes out there to have a little taste, and you're doing a combination of enjoying but also business.
We're both avid drinkers.
Yeah, for sure. We can only really get 3 wineries in on a day.
You know what? And I think that's wise. One, because you're just trying to hit 7 or 8 wineries, you're going to be rushing yourself.
Right.
And there's no fun in that. The area is beautiful. You want to look around. It's relaxing. Why do that to yourself? But hitting 3 wineries a day for me is also the max. That way you get a chance to taste everything they have. You don't, stumble back to your hotel room with a headache. And you can, if you stretch your visitation in Paso, wherever you like to go over a span of a few days, and there's a lot of opportunity for enjoyment. Hitting 3 wineries a day, you'll definitely come back with a trunk full of wine, no problem.
Right. And our world is we drive up on Thursday. We're usually going to go have a nice dinner, McPhee's, on Thursday night.
Restaurant, yeah.
Right. Then you have 3 wineries on Friday, 3 wineries on Saturday, and head home on Sunday. And you've got a nice little trip.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's just about go do it again.
That's right. And, typically, you're spending an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours at each winery. You can't really, once you try to go over that 3 wineries a day, you're really kind of forcing yourself to just kind of get out and go at as many wineries as you can. You're not getting the full enjoyment of each winery.
Now, you're doing it for a combination, obviously the enjoyment, but also you're bringing back some wines for those of us that don't get up there and for some of us that call you and say, Michael, where should I be going this time?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're doing that for multiple reasons. I look at it and say, by the time I get to the 3rd winery, I have to be really, really careful, because I might join a wine club that I didn't really like, but when I get home, I say, why the heck did I buy this? Do you have the same thing?
Hey, your palate's prime, your inhibitions are lowered, and pretty soon, everything starts to taste good. You're excited about the romanticism of the environment. And yeah, it's you start just to buy, and you're right. Very quickly, you can perhaps get some wines that once you get home, you may not be as excited about, or may not have tasted as you remembered when you were there.
Yeah, we're going to talk more with Michael Cox, Falling Bright Wine Merchants, when we come back. FallingBright.com is the website. We're going to talk about how you can take advantage of his palate, and is it a good one or not? I think it is, because I've never found a bad wine from the wine club and the recommendations. But I'm going to tell you more about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Also chat a little bit, maybe just a little bit, because I like talking wine better. Why foreclosures won't crush the housing market next year. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text SLT Home Digest, SLT Home Digest to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. The digest tells you what the county recorder knows about your property. It'll also tell you what the market believes about your property. All that is there, and it's free from your friends at Ron Siegel Radio. Strength of the current housing market growing every day and more Americans returning to work. A faster than expected recovery in the housing sector is already well underway. Regardless, many are still asking the question, will we see a wave of foreclosures as a result of the current crisis? Thankfully, research shows the number of foreclosures is expected to be much lower than what this country experienced during the last recession. And here's why. According to Black Knight Inc., the number of those in active forbearance has been leveling off over the past month. I've got a graph on the screen right now. And if you're not watching us on any of our video feeds, we've got that on all of our social channels. Make sure you join us, Ron Siegel Radio on Facebook. Black Knight Inc. also notes of the original 4,208,000 families granted forbearance, only 2.6 million, just under, of these homeowners got an extension. Many homeowners have once again started to pay their mortgages, paid off their homes, or never went delinquent on their payments in the first place. They may have applied for forbearance out of precaution, but never fully acted on it, which is a good thing. You'll find that that'll do you better in the long run. Next chart I'm showing you of the 4,208,000 families granted forbearance. This is what happened upon the expiration of the plan. 1.2 million removed while performing, 205,000 expired while delinquent, 182,000 paid off the mortgage arrears. Housing market and homeowners, therefore, are in a much better position than many may think. Much of that has to do with the fact that today's homeowners have more equity than most realize. According to John Burns Consulting, over 42% of homes are owned free and clear, meaning they're not tied to a mortgage. Of the remaining 58%, the average homeowner has, national numbers, not for Southern California, has $177,000 in equity. That'd be larger in Southern California. The number is keeping many homeowners afloat today and giving them options to avoid foreclosure. While Adam Data Solutions indicates that there is a potential for the number of foreclosures to increase throughout the country, it's important to understand why they won't rock the housing market this time around. Quote, the United States faces a possible foreclosure surge over the coming months that could more than double the number of households threatened with eviction for not paying their mortgage. The number may sound massive, but is actually much smaller than it seems at first glance. Today's actual quarterly active foreclosure number is 74,860. That's over 7.5 times lower than the number of foreclosures the country saw at the peak of the housing crash in 2009. When looking at the graph that I now have on the screen, or will momentarily, Adam Solutions indicates as a possibility they will only reach what, historically speaking, is a normalized range. far below what ended up the housing market roughly 10 years ago. Fascinating information right there. Equity is growing, jobs are returning, the economy is slowly recovering, so the perfect storm for a wave of foreclosures is not realistic in the housing market forecast. As Odetta Cushy, Deputy Chief Economist for First American, notes, alone, economic hardship and lack of equity are each necessary but not sufficient to trigger a foreclosure. It is only when both conditions exist that a foreclosure becomes a likely outcome, unquote. While our hearts are with anyone who may end up in foreclosure as a result of this crisis, we do know that today's homeowners have more options than they did 10 years ago. For some, it may mean selling their house and downsizing with that equity, which is far better outcome than foreclosure. That's the Mortgage Minute today. Again, if you have any questions about those things, just give me a call, 800-306-1990. More than happy to give you any information that I might have to help you and your family. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals. Continuing our conversation, Michael Cox, Falling Bright Wine Merchants, is with us today. And we're chatting a bit about wine and the wine industry, the wine world, the idea of going out and enjoying wine. So, Michael, one of the questions that I hear a lot, and it's one that fascinates me, is the individual, the consumer's, maybe the words lack of education on wine pricing. Right, so you can go and you go to the end cap at Costco and you see a $6.99 bottle of wine, or a $4 bottle of wine, or a $10 bottle of wine. What do you, for something that's going to be a good bottle of wine, not outrageously, not one of the massive, the 6 or 7 figure bottles, but
Certainly
something that I could say that I would not be embarrassed to bring somewhere?
I completely understand the question. I think, one of the main things that we wanted to do at Falling Bright is we want to over deliver. And, and I think that's what people are interested in when you talk about wine versus price point. I've found great bottles of wines, sometimes at $9. You really start to see a sweet spot of that $20 to $30 range. Even for the Napa Valley, where those Cabernets typically are at $100, $150, we have a plethora of opportunities at that $65 to $70 range of Napa Valley cabs that really over deliver, and people think they're drinking a $200 to $300 bottle of wine. So there's a lot of quality out there, and I think for just the average consumer, the buying power's in your hands right now. And there are some fantastic wines, like I said, at the $20 to $50 range that really will knock your socks off, even for the more sophisticated wine drinker, if you've got somebody like that coming to your house,
So one of the things I like, and I guess before I go on to that, is the concept. Talk a little bit about the concept. Is there a difference when I'm looking at price point for a white versus a red?
Well, there's the price point will run the board. Typically, what I see when you're looking for a quality white wine, at that $15 to $25 range, typically you really can find some really high quality wines that are small production, that are going to not be available to your average grocery store, that can really wow yourself and your friends you invited for dinner. Typically speaking, when it looks to red wine, if you're trying to find a marker for a price point, that $30 to $60 range for high quality small production wines, that's where you're really gonna start to find some incredible wines that are gonna, as I said, over deliver.
And that and being the showman that I am, I guess, sure, a little bit, is I like to use, one of the things I like is I like bringing the small production wines.
Yes.
Because no one really knows what the heck they're drinking.
Well, that's what you want to do with your friends. You want to show them something they haven't had before. You want to turn them on to something. You want to wow them, and that's where one of the primary mission statements of Falling Bright is. We want to get you those small production, high-end wines that over deliver at the price point where you don't feel like you have to sacrifice your kids' college fund.
One of the nice things, and I'll just be the unpaid honk here, is I love your trio.
Oh, that's so
right.
Kind. Sure.
Thank you. When you put that trio together, it's wines more often than not. I've never heard of the wines that are there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know I haven't looked at it recently. It was somewhere around $100.
It's $98 for 3 high-end wines from small production wineries.
And they've always been really good. They've been things that you bring them somewhere. Where'd you get this? Because people have never heard of it before. And that's one of the fun parts of talking to a small business owner.
Sure.
Is you're out there looking at these things and trying to find something that, my bet is, and I am a betting person, is that you're probably not going to be able to compete with Costco on a like for like bottle. So you're going to have something that's going to be a little bit different than what they have.
Exactly. And, I have to say, I love Costco. I shop there all the time. I think they have a great wine selection. But what we try to do, especially with our quarterly changing trio, is we tried to find those high-end wineries that were making small production wines that again, your friends are not going to typically see, that you're going to be able to wow them with. Our current trio features Paloma Merlot, one of the classic Merlot producers. We've also got an incredible wine by Jolie Lod, which is a cult level winery in California, as well as Pax as well. So these are wineries that are not too familiar to people who are maybe, may I say, the novice drinker, but the flavor profiles are going to satisfy that novice drinker as well as the wine drinker who's more sophisticated. And that's kind of our drive and our mission with that trio.
Interesting. We're going to talk more about that trio when we come back, and I'm not going to talk as much so I can listen more to Michael Cox, because how do you get that wine trio? We're going to talk about that. How do you get it? I guess it's quarterly now?
It is quarterly.
Quarterly. So how do you get it? What if you want more? We'll talk all about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We've got that featured home of the day coming up as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And again, if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
You have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership. What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and cleared home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge. judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Today's featured home brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has the solution for you. Let's look at this one, 220 North Moeller Drive. If you're not familiar with the Moeller Drive area of Anaheim Hills, beautiful, beautiful area over there. You'd never know that you're in the middle of one of the biggest cities in California, biggest city, obviously, in Orange County, because it's all tree lined. It's one lane highway. Sometimes you can't, if there's a truck coming, you got to back up or get out of the way. Great area over there. This is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath pool home. Got it listed. Melinda has it at $885,000. I'm looking at payments ranging anywhere from $2,934 a month to $4,700 on a 15-year fixed rate loan. Look at all those. Some of the numbers there just seem pretty amazing to me. $4,192 principal, interest, taxes, insurance, a 3.5 APR on a 30-year fixed with a 20% down payment. So think about that one. Nice property. Take a look at it. 220 North Moeller Drive, Anaheim Hills, 92808. Call Melinda Johnson if you have any questions about the property. Now, talking about questions, let's get back to our conversation. Michael Cox, Falling Bright Wine Merchants, is with us. As you see across the bottom of your screen, fallingbright.com is the place to go to shop. I've done it many, many times. I'm probably one of their pains in the neck because I look at it and I put things in my cart there and then call them and say, when can I get it? Are you on your way yet? But you guys deliver things, right?
We do. Yeah, we sure do. As a matter of fact, all over Orange County, there's we deliver all over the U.S. There's no charge for our delivery service, and usually within our Orange County clients, it's there within 24 to 48 hours. We set up your delivery time based on where and when you want it.
And that's an important thing, especially this week. And I'm not talking about this week in anything other than the fact that it's hot out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So you don't want to don't go leaving your wines outside, or don't go leaving them in the car when it's 100 degrees outside.
No, that's not what you want to do.
You're going to mess up some wine.
Yeah, you're going to have some bad wine real quickly. You know, wine can be affected by hot temperatures within just 30 minutes.
Is that really that quick?
Yeah, you can 30 minutes in a hot car, you can really devastate that wine that you put the time and work into getting.
So what do I do with the wine if I don't have a wine fridge? Do I want to put it in my refrigerator? Do I want to put it in? Where am I going to store it if I don't have a wine fridge?
I think typically what you'd like to do, especially with white wines, great to keep it in the fridge. It's chilled, it's ready to go. Your red wines, as long as you're not storing them on top of the refrigerator or in your garage for a short period of time at room temperature, they're going to be fine. Now, anything you're going to keep over 3 to 6 months, invest in a small wine fridge. Some of these things hold as few as 6 bottles, others 45, others 300. It's
small is relative.
Right. It's all based on what you think you're going to consume. And I always think, especially for someone who wants the best quality out of their wine, a wine fridge is really a great way to go.
And they don't take that much space. I mean, because I've got 2 now, and we have to drink. I guess we have to drink them faster.
Certainly, there's certain wines you want to cellar, and I'm all for that. But it's just the right time to drink a wine is when you're thirsty for wine.
There you go. That makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about your wine club. And I'm not looking to try and be an infomercial, but an educational issue, because I've found over the years that I've known you, we've gotten a lot of wines through your club, just because And I'll throw this out there because I think you'll probably concur. When we used to do our wine segment every Wednesday, Robert used to say he would try 200 or 300 types of wine every month, so I didn't have to.
Sure. Yes, that's a part of my job, and it's rough.
Yeah.
It's really rough. But I'm there to do a service for the consumer, and it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
So you're able to cut it down to 3 every quarter.
That's exactly right. We offer 3 high-quality wines, and we ship that to you once every 3 months. It's a great way to get to know wines that perhaps you weren't so familiar with. And the beauty of it is the benefit of being a Trio member is that you get 15% off of any wine, not just what's in the Trio, but what's in the entire gallery of over 450 selections.
The other thing that I like is that you put some notes in there with that Trio. Talk about that a little bit, because that's how we can learn a little.
Well, as we were saying, these small production wineries, typically speaking, people don't know too much about them. So what we try to do is we offer that level of education so you know what you're drinking. You can talk to your friends about what you're drinking. We offer cheese pairings and there's also a recipe included with that package. So there's an ample amount of education so you can really get the full enjoyment out of your wine, which I think is that's part of the fun of drinking what's in that glass, is getting to know it inside and out.
Well, that's something that you're in your line of work, right? I mean, with few exceptions, people really aren't drinking wine because of their sorrow, right? When they go to have a bottle of wine, it's because we're having dinner with friends. It's an uplifting time. We're sitting out by a pool with friends or with loved ones. It's a good time where we're celebrating a wedding, an engagement, or something along those lines.
Yeah, wine is a celebration, and definitely, typically speaking, when you're opening that bottle, everybody's sipping on it together. They want to know more about it, and that's why there's that level of education with each Trio. So you can whether it's just for yourself, whether it's with your friends, you can talk all about it.
So here's my problem. Maybe you have a solution. One of my problems. I have many of them.
I do too.
So, I get a good bottle of wine, and I'll be very frank. It happens with you guys more than most because your selections are not the norm, right? If I'm drinking a bottle of Turley or Austin Hope, everybody knows it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
When I get your Trios, it's generally something that is a small production that very few people have heard of, and my problem is, what's the way of noting or remembering or taking notes so I remember what I like and what I don't like? Do you have a good way of doing that?
There's a basic thing that I like to do with any wine that I'm about to enjoy. Definitely that level of education, knowing where it came from, the producer, all that's very helpful, but nothing's going to help you more than looking at that wine, looking at the visual aspect of the wine, smelling the wine, making mental notes of that, and then tasting it. Really sipping that wine and savoring the sip and talking to yourself about what you taste. And that for me is really getting the full enjoyment out of your glass. I don't have, drink your wine the way you like. You want to kick it back, glug, 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 more power to you. But there's something about sipping on that wine, understanding the poetry and the artistry based on the flavor profiles of a wine that really can make it incredibly memorable.
Yeah, my biggest struggle has always been, you go to a winery, right? So you go up to Paso and go to 3 wineries, five tastes per winery. Mm-hmm. Don't feel embarrassed if you're like me. I don't drink at all. So my wife and I generally will share a tasting, right? Because we're going to have 15 of these tastings throughout the day. So it's not a problem. But I go and I say, did I like the first one? Which one do I really like? And I just have never come up with a great way of my personal ability to score.
Yeah, take the and grab a notepad. There's all sorts of critics out there that are going to tell you what they feel about wine, and if you find a critic that has a similar flavor profile to what you like to drink, that's always a great marker and can help you. But no one is going to know you better than you. So grab that pen and paper when you're out at the winery or with your wine bottle at home and write down what you taste. Write down whether you liked it or not.
Sure.
And then that's going to really help you quantify what you like to enjoy and going back to those notes and getting that bottle of wine again if you liked it.
Yeah, that's a great way of doing it, because I know that we've got probably 15 wineries now that we like to visit up in Paso Robles.
Yeah.
And when you can only get to 6 on a trip, it's pretty simple to go, and I do it on mine on Evernote. I try to remember things, so I just put it into Evernote, and I say, did I like this winery? Did I not like this winery? Do I need any more from that winery?
Sure.
Right? I mean, last trip I might have bought, more than I should have from winery X.
No, you could never buy.
So I don't need any more from that winery right now. But I did tell you, I promised you at the top of the broadcast, I was going to tell you what, in my opinion, are the 3 most important things that you must know about wine. And I've talked to a lot of wine connoisseurs, and almost every one of them concurs. Item number 1 that you must know about wine: how to use a corkscrew. Now, there are those stealth enclosures now, so you don't have, it's not an absolute, but how to use a corkscrew is number 1. And then number 2 and number 3, they go together. Do I like it or don't I like it? 3 important things, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I completely agree.
So, see, another one of the wine connoisseurs that sees it my way on this, because something, at the end of the day, if Michael likes, winery X, and and I'm a big one. I'm not a real fan of, and we only got a couple seconds left, but I'm not a big fan of the real big, bold cabs. They're a little strong for me.
Yeah.
Right? Give me a Merlot, give me a Zinfandel. It doesn't mean that the cab isn't good, because it's probably going to rate a lot higher. It's probably going to be a lot more expensive, right? But if I don't like it, what's the difference?
Exactly. That's exactly the way to do it. Do you like it or not?
Do I like it or not? That's the bottom line. And as always, Michael's going to come back, and we're going to have him on and talk more about wines. And as always, I ask you, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items that affect your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John and Sean, who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, again, Michael Cox, Falling Bright Wine Merchants. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Be happy to put you in touch with them. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.